People, we are talking about the 6th of November, a peace rally. This is not something of, we're trying to put the Holocaust or something on the agenda. We're talking about a peace rally here because we do not want war. I'm gonna spotlight David, and I'm gonna ask David to open his mic. Good morning, David. I'm going to ask you to unmute. Yes, I think I have to put on the button to make you unmute.
That's good.
Yes, now you're good.
We're there.
We're here. Well, thank you for taking the time for us, David, to answer some of the questions. And as I told you, before we do anything, I have 3 questions for you.
Okay.
The first question, and you just have to answer yes or no, is were you contacted by any of the mainstream media parties here in Holland, any newspaper, any television program? Because everybody has been talking about you, but was anyone having the intention or calling you to go into a conversation with you or asking you questions? Were you contacted by the mainstream media?
Nope, not once.
Okay, thank you. Second question, did, according to you, the Holocaust took place?
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about vast numbers of Jewish people being killed by the Nazis in a systematic way, as they were, then yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, you already got the third question. Did, according to you, Jewish people were killed in the Second World War by Nazi Germany?
Absolutely. And, you know, ironically, and this is the great ironic aspect to this, Mordegai, is that I have been saying for 32 years and warning people that the Nazi and the Nazi mentality and the Nazi networks that were behind that horror in the Second World War didn't disappear. They just changed their jackboots for business suits and they went underground. And this is why you will see that the world is becoming more and more Nazi, because what the Nazis did, and that mentality did, was expand their reach undercover. And they've operated through what's called globalization, which has given them more and more power globally. They operate through the European Union, and they operate through these across border organizations and global organizations. And therefore, they have far more power now, even than they had in Nazi Germany. And what it's also kind of interesting, you know, Mordegai, is, you know, if you look at what's happened in the COVID era, what happened in lockdown and all that imposition, governments across the world were acting like Nazis. In terms of what they were forcing upon people. How can it be anything but Nazi to say you are going to have this experimental vaccine? How can that be anything but Nazi that you're forcing that on people? And so my concern all along has been not only about what happened in Nazi Germany, but how what happened in Nazi Germany and that behind it has been expanding its power across the world ever since, to the point now where it's going global.
Yeah. Have you, well, of course, you heard all the news. I just saw a short video of yours, at least a short part of it, because I just got the link where you actually are talking about the situation in Holland. Have you, well, you've seen a lot in your life by now, but have you seen anything like this, that Jewish organizations in the country are trying to stop you from speaking at a demonstration, or even trying to ban you from even coming into a country? Well, you saw it in Australia, but we're talking about Europe here. We're talking about the country of the freedom of speech, the Netherlands. Have you witnessed anything like this until now?
Yeah, well, I've witnessed it all over the world, not quite probably with the intensity of the last few days in the Netherlands, but I've experienced it all over the world. And, you know, this is how it works. You've got a hierarchy that we call human society. There's a tiny few at the top that are driving the agenda through the hierarchy. And the further you come down the pyramid in human society, the less and less people know about what's actually coming down from the top, because it's all compartmentalized, like a secret society. Different levels, degrees are compartmentalized from the ones above. And so what comes down from this, this hidden level is that we have to control the perceptions of the population. If we're going to control billions of people, which is what we saw in the COVID era, then we do not have the resources to do it physically. But if we can hijack the perceptions of the population, from perception comes behavior. People behaved as they did in lockdown and went meekly under lockdown because their perception was there was a deadly virus, and doing that was the only way to protect them and their families. So perception equals behavior. So where does perception come from? It comes from information received. We perceive as we do, believe as we do, because of the information we've had access to. So this is why this network wants to control what's taught in the schools. It wants to control what is broadcast by the media. It wants, through massive and ever more hysterical censorship, to control what can be posted by the population through the Silicon Valley platforms. Why? Because if you want to hijack the perception of the population and get them to believe what you want them to believe so they behave as you want them to behave, you have to delete other sources of information that might get them to perceive a situation, themselves, the world, in a different way to what you want them to perceive. And so this is why every tyranny in history, including this now global tyranny, has sought to control information. What did the Nazis do, ironically, in Germany? They immediately targeted sources of information, sources of challenge, sources of opinion that were exposing what the Nazis were really about when they claimed to be something different, until the obvious dawned eventually when they got power. And so from the top of this pyramid hierarchy comes the targeting of organizations and individuals that are putting out information you don't want people to know and to hear. So they will start the process of, take me as an example, they will start the process in the shadows of demonizing me. They'll start putting out through various organizations and what have you, that I am all the things that they've been claiming I am and I'm not in the mainstream media in the Netherlands. And you make an interesting point, Mordegai, with your first question. Was I asked to give my side of events and what I believed by the mainstream media? No. Why? The same reason that Alex Jones in America was destroyed or was attempted to be destroyed, say that and emphasize that, by a $1 billion plus damages award, while at the same time, in the same case, he was not allowed to defend himself by the judge. Because what they want is to demonize you, but not in demonizing you, give you a platform to put out information that they don't want you to hear. And so they'll demonize you, but they won't ask you for your view, because then you're going to get the opportunity to put out information you don't want people to hear. And so what happens in this hierarchy is the demonization comes down from the shadows. And by the time it gets to the lower levels of the hierarchy, which level overwhelmingly people won't even know there's a hierarchy, you get people who genuinely believe what they're saying, but they can't tell you where it comes from or why they believe it, but they just believe it. It's as the Nazis said, the big lie. If you keep putting out a big lie And the bigger the lie, the better, because if the lie is massive, then people will say, oh, yeah, well, okay, they might lie, but they won't lie that much. Oh, yes, they will. So this is why the big lie is more potent than the small lie, because people accept you, oh, they're small lying, but not that they're big lying. So you put out the big lie and you keep repeating it, just as the Nazis said, and then people will believe it. But what you mustn't do is let your target have a platform to respond. And that's why we've had what we've had. So you've got this hierarchy. You've got the hierarchy drivers who are putting out this stuff. And then you have what I call repeaters, repeating it by reflex action further down, believing it to be true. And, you know, if you own the media, as this network does globally, then you own the people that work for it. And therefore, the people that work for it are going to act and behave in their daily roles in a way that's suitable and acceptable and desirable to that which owns their paycheck, basically. And therefore, you don't see people, because one of the things that you have in journalism today is that you have to have a special operation before you become a journalist. You have to have your spine removed. And so they just are compliant propagandists who do what they're told to do. And so you have this incredible imbalance between the views of the people and the views of
and the signals on internet.
The authorities. I mean, if you look around the world today and you see all the sexualization of children, the castration of children in the name of that poll is very indicative of it. You see all these things happening. The population in general overwhelmingly does not want them to happen, but they still happen. Why? Because a few people control the world.
At least I hope that I saw some people going like, okay, very happy, because the chat is not visible for everyone, just to have people focus on the conversation. But I can see some chats coming in. People are happy that, with those answers. But of course, there is so much more going on. I have a question for you. Like, for example, CD, which is the Center of Documentation Information Israel. I think happens with those people, because I have seen those people on the national networks, on television, being totally convinced that you should not speak. But they do not want to talk with you, and probably they don't even take the effort to listen to this.
I'm going to reload this live, because sometimes this helps for the signal somehow.
Not the majority.
Thank you.
Horrors of Nazi Germany. The very thought of it is an instinctive response emotionally to it, because the horror is so massive. And so if you want to destroy someone's credibility, or destroy someone in terms of demonizing them so they won't be listened to or anything, or they'll be, silenced, then link them to denial of something that would immediately, with everyone, has this emotional reaction of revulsion. So Holocaust denial, as it's called, and that's another thing, why do they call them climate change deniers? Why do they call them vaccine deniers? It's all the same mentality. It's all the same perceptual manipulation. This word denier now has connotations in the immediate emotional response of people because of Holocaust denial. So it's not just Holocaust that gets an emotional reaction because of the linking of the words, and it's all very perceptually deep the way they do it, because they know they have to control perception to control the world. denier has connotations. So they don't say, oh, it's someone that doesn't agree with climate change. No, you're a climate change denier. Not that someone is saying, well, hold on a minute, this is an experimental vaccine. In fact, it's not even a vaccine by previous criteria and definitions of a vaccine. So I'm going to just hold off a bit here and see what's going on. No, you are a vaccine denier. And it's all words, because they know words have connotations and they have emotional responses. So if you look at what happened in Nazi Germany, what did they do? They shut down the ability of people to expose them, challenge them, and warn people about them. And it's an irony almost unimaginable that a organization, and like I say, there is a pattern here I'll come to, that claims to stand up for Jewish people, that they would seek to act in the same ways in terms of censorship and silencing people that the Nazis did. I mean, that's extraordinary. And, you know, there's another interesting thing is that in Israel, the COVID impositions on the population were absolutely extraordinary. I remember seeing an interview with a Jewish lawyer in Tel Aviv, and he said, well, why would a government that so short a time after what happened in Nazi Germany be acting in the same way against the people instead, in terms of imposing these restrictions and what I would call fascism upon the population? It's like, what? But there is a pattern, because, you know, you mentioned I was banned from Australia. That's an interesting story, Mordegai, because I've spoken in Australia 10 times and there was never a problem, not at all, speaking tours and stuff like that. And in the September of 2018, I asked for a visa to go on a speaking tour in February of 2019, the 6-city speaking tour of Australia. And it came through. It took a time, mind, but it came through because they couldn't find a reason not to do it. And then I'm sitting in a hotel bar in Los Angeles in February 2019. The flight from there to Melbourne to start the tour is 4 hours away. We've got all the gear down. We're about to get on the bus. And a long email came through from the immigration minister in Australia called David Coleman, saying it was extraordinary, Mordegai, because it said, I know you've been here 10 times. I know there's never been a problem, but I know you've got a visa, which we gave you in September 2018, but you can't come now, right? Which was, you know, financially massive with all the outgoings that had been put on in terms of organizing the tour, which would then...
yeah, and by the way, you were in Los Angeles on your way to Australia?
Yeah, I'd spoken in Mexico, and that's why I was in Los Angeles on the way to Australia.
So it was just before you would arrive there.
Yeah, 4 hours before the flight left to take me to start the tour in Melbourne. So what happened and why it happened is interesting, because it relates to the situation with City Now. There's an organization in Australia, and it really is a man and a dog organization, because the Jewish population of Australia is absolutely tiny by ratio. And it's called the Anti-Defamation Commission. And suddenly it started kicking off about me coming into Australia, because I was going to say it's a Jewish plot and I'm an anti-Semite and Holocaust denier, right? You may have heard that recently as well. And what happened is the Murdoch newspapers, not only them, but the Murdoch newspapers primarily, then picked this up and started exactly with same as the Dutch media this week, started repeating it all over the place and demanding I should be banned. And in the end, this David Coleman's spine went, and he panicked and banned me 4 hours before I was due to head there. And then in America, you've got the Anti-Defamation League, the ADL, and that goes back to the early years of the 20th century. And they operate the same situation. what they do is they say that David Icke is denying the Holocaust, he's anti-Semitic, he's dangerous, and he's all this, that, and the other. And it's the same thing. And then in Canada, I had talks banned in Canada because of an organization there of a similar background that was saying he's denying the Holocaust and he's an anti-Semite. And so you see the pattern, because I come back again to this whole manipulation of perception. If you can connect the revulsion of what happened in Nazi Germany to a man who is said to be denying all that went on, then you have an incredibly powerful way of silencing people. And because of this hierarchy, you have so-called liberals and people of the so-called left in politics. It's not the left I grew up in. And by the way, I didn't grow up in a far right household. I grew up in a left wing household. What you
Me too.
Liberal household today, when it was actually liberal, and we believed in freedom of speech, and we believed in challenging the power of the state and challenging the power of corporations. But the so-called liberals, so-called left, what they do then, because they don't check it out either, because the whole world, Mordegai, the whole world is based on people repeating, not what they've researched, not what they've sought to check, repeating what they've heard as if it's real. And so I've had protests outside my events in England, and it's very difficult now to get an event anywhere because immediately what we have to do if I'm going to speak in an event is we have to keep the venue quiet from the people who are coming until the day, and then email everyone and tell them where it is. We have to do this in a so-called free country and countries around the world, because once it's known where the venue is, they move in and not only demonize me to the venue, but if the venue says, no, we believe in freedom of speech, then they go for the venue and the venue owners and people and say, we'll destroy your business if you don't ban him.
Did you hear?
What they're doing is repeating what has come down from above as if it's true. So, you know, the Labour Party in Britain, the so-called people of Party of the People, has had people outside my events demanding that I be silenced because I'm anti-Semite and a Holocaust denier, when they have no idea if that's true or not. They've just been told it is, so they repeat it and they believe it. And just very finally on this is why we're in this situation, people. We're in this situation because people believe what they hear instead of checking it out.
Yeah. Thank you. Do you know that the city, they now even announced a protest against the peace demonstration?
Oh, dear.
Yeah, and it's
That's
even
the point, isn't it?
Yeah, it's even one of the presidents.
Their minds get addled when they go down this road.
She actually said it live on television. This lady that you saw from CD, she said, "Then we're going to start a whistle demonstration against it." I'm like, what? Okay, but yeah, we're going to have very good speakers on the dam. We're going to hire extremely good speakers, so we will not hear the whistling. But there was one thing that you said that's very interesting, that you were called upon on the last day on your way to Australia, because I think that I see a parallel here in Holland also. Whenever we want to organize a demonstration, and I helped organizing demonstration quite a lot over the last 2.5 years, whenever they give you, whenever they withdraw the permit or they tell you you cannot go on demonstration, actually in Holland it's quite difficult to forbid a demonstration. There are very strict rules because we have the freedom of speech. The other thing is that they should not go into the content of any demonstration. They're not allowed to look at the content because anyone is supposed to say whatever they want. But whenever they find a reason to take away your, it's not even permission, but the right to go and demonstrate, it's always in the very last minute. So the organization cannot do anything anymore, because we were organizing a demonstration in 2020 on the 21st of June. It was going to be massive. And in the last moment, the mayor of The Hague said, you're not allowed to protest. So what do you do as an organization? You go to the court, and you will ask them to take a decision upon this. But all you're doing as an organization is you're in total panic, and you do not have the time to organize any alternative. So when you told me that in September, you already had the visa, but being on the airport in Los Angeles on your way, they tell you you're not allowed to come. You think that's a strategy of this last minute?
100%. It's because if they go early, as you rightly put it, you can have time to find alternative arrangements. But if they do it late, you can't. I'll give you a great example of that. We have put on a book launch a few years ago now, maybe 5 years, maybe a bit more, at Manchester United, at Old Trafford, the football ground. Mm-hmm. And my son, Jamie, was talking with them for months. And he said to them, oh, you know, you get all these people, they say that David's going to say this, and say David's going to say that when he's not. And they said, oh, no, we're Manchester United. We don't get intimidated. And then we're in Manchester, we're at the hotel, we're on we're in 24 hours from the event, and at 24 hours, and it started. As they were starting to put out various groups in Britain, so-called left-wing groups, like hell they are. And they were putting out that I was a Holocaust denier and I mustn't be allowed to speak at Old Trafford. And then the Labour Party MP for the Manchester United area, called Kate Green, she then intervenes on the morning of the event and tells Manchester United it's disgusting that they're going to let me speak because I'm a Holocaust denier and an anti-Semite. And we heard on the morning, after months of preparation, and by the way, people were flying in from abroad for this launch because it was going to be a dinner and quite a little event. And others were going there as a birthday present. And on the morning, Manchester United told the media that I was not going to be allowed to speak and the event was off. And this is after my son had been at Man United the day before doing the final arrangements. And we heard about it in the media. So my son, Jamie, he got in the car and he went out to Old Trafford on the morning of the event to ask them what the hell was going on because they hadn't told us. And what they did is refused to talk to him and escorted him with a security guard off the premises. This is not an accident. This is by design. If we go too early, they could make other arrangements. So what we'll do is we'll go late, so they've got no chance of making this event happen. It's a strategy, and you know it is an amazing expression of cognitive dissonance where you believe two things that are totally contradictory at the same time and believe both to be true. Yeah. That people can call themselves anti-Nazi and freedom fighters while seeking to act like the Nazis did and do in the shadows now, and also to deny freedom of speech that you demand for yourself. See, this is the thing about freedom of speech. It's really important. Whether people believe what I say or not is irrelevant. What I believe about what other people say is irrelevant. The fundamental foundation of freedom of speech is the right to be wrong. Because if you don't have the right to be wrong, it means that some authority now has the power to decide what is right or wrong, and thus to silence what it perceives to be wrong, which just happens to be what it doesn't want people to hear. And you will have seen, Mordegai, this extraordinary law that's being passed in California by this guy, Gavin Newsom, the governor, who's a graduate of the Young Leaders School of the World Economic Forum of Klaus Schwab, just like Trudeau is and Ardern is in New Zealand and Macron is in France, and on it goes, that the law is saying that doctors can be struck off for challenging the official story of COVID and the COVID fake vaccine. So when you've got doctors being told you cannot be a doctor, you have to just follow the official narrative, then you are dealing with a fascist state.
Yeah, we just had a doctor in Holland, Rob Elens. He just received his first fine. He has to pay a few thousands of euros, I believe, because he was treating people with hydroxychloroquine, curing them, because he just lost 10 patients in the beginning of Corona. He started using the Selenko protocol, using HCQ together with some antibiotics and zinc. He started curing people. They told him he was not able and not allowed to use that medicine, which has been on the market for many, many years. He stopped using it and people started dying in his practice again. He just received a few weeks ago, after a long lawsuit, a fine, his first fine, as a medical doctor, actually telling him he was not allowed to cure his patients with HCQ. And he was also not allowed to ask his patients to sign an agreement for taking the vaccine and also taking the risk of whatever may come out of that vaccine. He actually did the official informed consent. They were not allowing him to do that. So he also reached the newspaper. So that's the whole medical thing. I want to jump together with you to
just say one thing on that, Mordegai.
Yeah, sure.
You know, what I've been highlighting all these years is the mentality that is behind all this, and why Nazi Germany is so relevant to what I'm saying is that the mentality we saw there on public display is the mentality behind this, what I call global cult, that is directing and driving this transformation of human society in a way that's happening now so fast. How can you do what the Nazis did if you have a smear of empathy or a smear of compassion? If you have the ability to feel compassion and feel empathy, putting yourself in the feelings of those you affect, and then do what the Nazis did, you can't. So this mentality does not have the capacity to generate empathy and compassion. And empathy is the fail-safe mechanism of human behavior. If you have empathy, then that's going to stop you doing things to the extreme because you have empathy with people who are affected by what you do. Take away empathy and anything goes. There are no limits anymore. And this is why the Nazis did what they did. You get that feeling in your stomach when you even just think about what happened there. Now, how can you enforce a fake vaccine? It increasingly shown very clearly they knew was going to kill and health damage to the extreme enormous numbers of people. How can you say you must have this fake vaccine to treat, quote, COVID, and what someone else is doing effectively cannot happen? You can only do that if you have no capacity for empathy. If you did, you would say, well, this doctor, he seems to be having success here with this. So not only are we going to let him get on with it, we're going to have a look at this because we are, from an empathetic point of view, we want to help people. But that's not the game. It's not about helping people. It's about imposing an agenda, ultimately, of global fascism. A global version of Nazi Germany would be a very simple way of putting it. And therefore, what happens to people, they're just collateral damage and fodder to this mindset doesn't matter. What matters is, does our agenda advance? And I have this phrase, know the outcome and you'll see the journey. If you don't know where we're being taken, then events seem random. And something like stopping that doctor prescribing an effective response would seem bewildering. Why would they do that? When you know the outcome, then you see the journey. And these things and happenings every day are no longer random to your mind. They become stepping stones to the outcome. And so in the same way that we must, in their mind, silence those who are putting out information we don't like, at the same time, in terms of the COVID situation, we must demonize and target doctors who are acting towards this in ways we don't want, because we want everyone fake vaccinated, and for them to see that's the only response possible. And so you see this same perceptual manipulation all over the place, which is why you've got this law in California saying that doctors cannot challenge the official story because otherwise they'll get struck off.
Yeah. Let's jump to the demonstration, because actually the demonstration is about peace. No war. That's actually why you are invited for the 6th of November in Amsterdam. What would be your message? I mean, of course, I know you're great at giving speeches, but just short, what do you think about this whole situation? What would be your message when we are talking about this war that is going on and that everybody is pointing fingers at for everything that is going on right now with food shortages and everything? What would be your message?
Well, what I do when I speak like that is I step up and start speaking, and I just let the flow take me where I go. But if I'm sitting here now, there are certain things I would want to cover, and one relates to what I've just said. If you see everything as random, you're never going to grasp what's going on, because these events are not random, they are connected. If you connect the dots, you see the picture. If you don't, you see the dots that appear to be random happenings. So know the outcome and you'll see the journey. Okay, what's the outcome? The outcome that's planned is a global fascist world dictatorship in which a tiny, tiny few people at the center control, for instance, all the basics for life and survival. And if you don't do what that group says, then you do not get the basics of life and survival. And this is a mirror, because China is a laboratory which was created as a result of the Mao Revolution, because to this global cult, there are no borders. We see China and America and the Netherlands. They don't. They just see different sections of a global agenda. So in China, they created a closed society which allowed a system of total global control to be, not least through AI and technology, to be incubated. And as it was incubated and perfected, it has now been played out across the world. If you look at the world and the Western society, since the COVID era, which the story says came out of China, ironically and appropriately, then the West has become more and more like China. And one expression of it is what's been happening in the Netherlands this week in relation to me and the event. So let's look at the Chinese system. They have what's called a social credit system. And what that means is because they have millions of cameras in the cities and a surveillance in real time system that is absolutely state of the art in terms of humanity at the moment, they can track people's behavior. And through AI, they track it and they register it and they record it. And if you behave as the government wants you,
Oh, a cliffhanger. Yeah, cliffhanger.
You get credits.
Oh, there you go.
If you don't,
Another cliffhanger. Yeah. They are snakes. They are seeing a mouse, waiting to attack for the right moment. I will force reload because sometimes it helps.
interaction with mainstream society, you can't go on a train, you can't fly, you can't, had a range of things you couldn't do. And you were denied access to mainstream society. That's just the start of where they want to go. And the European Union is colossally involved in this and preparing to play out this social credit system in Europe, and same in other countries across the world like the United States and Britain and elsewhere. So that's the society they want. And if you're going to control people so they become dependent on you, you have to destroy their ability to have a livelihood. So they become dependent on you for survival. And so that's, first of all, in this sequence, Mordegai, that's what lockdown was about. Wasn't about protecting people from a quote deadly virus, because that study after study has shown that not only is that not appropriate in a response, it created enormous amounts of death and health destruction by shutting down hospitals and people not having treatment or diagnosis and all the rest of it, all the psychological stuff on top of that, because it wasn't about that. It was about holding the global economy below the waterline. Yeah. So businesses went bust, and more and more the what I call the cult corporations, your Amazons, your Facebooks, and all these big corporations, they got richer and richer and richer during lockdown, while the small independent livelihood businesses and employers were being destroyed. So okay, they could only do that for so long, because they knew they were going to get pushback. They had a lot of pushback in England. That's why we had a lot of success in pushing this back in terms of the restrictions. But so what's the next stage? Okay, we've got to create a system of dependency, not just by destroying in that sense I've described, but by making the basics of life so expensive that people can't afford them. And again, next stage from lockdown, businesses, small businesses, medium businesses, even some big businesses that are not co-owned, are not going to be able to afford to continue because of the cost of continuing. Now, let's have a think.
Nurse with Wound said
what
YouTube.com.
can we do that will affect everything and push the price of everything up to the point of people not being able to afford it? I know.
Nurse with Wound said, and in the naked light I saw.
If we can push the price of energy up,
people,
because
maybe more.
Everything that's
People
produced is
talking
produced with
without
energy,
speaking.
and it's transported with
People
energy.
hearing without listening.
Every level of that price chain is going to increase to the point where people aren't be able to afford it. So how do we do that? Oh, got another idea. What we do is we say we're all going to die because of human-caused climate change, and we're going to demonize the gas of life, CO2, without which there'd be no natural world. And we're going to say that the whole of society has to be transformed to save the world from climate change. And if you look at the scientific basis of that, it is nonsensical, but people don't, of course, they just repeat it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start shutting down fossil fuels. We're going to shut down pipelines like Biden did when he came to office. So a energy independent America became an energy dependent America in a very, very short time. We're going to say that all this use of fossil fuels, which is the basis of modern society, is going to stop. And so what's that going to do? It's going to push the price of energy up. Because A, you're contracting it by shutting down fossil fuels, and B, your alternatives cost more, so you're pushing the price of energy up. Now, hold on a minute. What else have we got to do? We need energy, yeah, but I tell you another thing that's really going to really make people dependent on us. the price of food. So what we're going to do is during lockdown, when we shut everything down worldwide, we're going to dismantle great chunks of the world food production and supply industry. And that's going to push the price of food up. And then what we're going to do, we're going to stimulate this war with Ukraine. Because what we're going to do, and I said this in films and books going way back, we're going to poke Putin in the chest by moving NATO further and further east. And then we're going to cross the red line of Putin, where he says, look, Ukraine must not join NATO. So what we're going to do, while he's saying, if this goes on, there's going to be trouble, we're going to send a moronic lady from America called Kamala Harris, the vice president. It's not so bad if you say it quickly, who's going to go to Ukraine just before the conflict broke out. And he's going to say, yes, we support Ukraine joining NATO. So you want Putin to invade because you want the conflict. So what is the effect of that? First of all, because of the pipelines, and also if Putin has leverage over Europe with the pipelines, the Nord Stream 1 and 2, well, you've got to blow them up. So his leverage is gone. And what we're going to do is we're going to create an energy crisis through supply crisis through this war, so that again, energy prices go up and up and up. More businesses get destroyed. People die in large numbers this winter because they're so bloody cold. And also, between them, Ukraine and Russia are tremendous producers of foodstuffs, and also, like Russia is a fantastic global producer of fertilizer for farms. So if we do that, and we as has happened, you stop this massive amount of food from circulating, you're going to make access to food get harder and harder and harder the longer it goes on. But you're also going to, even if they can get the fertilizer, you're going to make sure it's vastly more expensive, which pushes food production up, which puts food stuffs in the shops higher and higher and higher. And all the time you are squeezing people so that they cannot survive independently and have to survive through you. Because the idea in the end is to introduce what they call a guaranteed income, which will be a pittance. And you only get the guaranteed income because where else all other income is gone, we've destroyed it. You're only going to get the guaranteed income if you do as you're told, a la social credit system in China. And that brings us, Mordegai, back to the Netherlands. Why would Mark Rutte, who's just an agent of the World Economic Forum, I mean, look at his speeches, why would he target the second biggest exporter of food in the world, the Netherlands, and target their farmers in the most grotesque fascist way of saying, we're going to take over your farms, we're going to take over your land? Because it all fits this destruction of the food chain. This is why Bill Gates is the biggest owner of farmland in America now. Same agenda. Why would you target Dutch farmers in the way that's being done when there's an increasingly big problem with the supply of food? You'd be increasing it. You'd be encouraging them to produce more. No, wants to destroy them. How does that benefit the Netherlands and the people of the Netherlands? It doesn't, because Rutte's not there for that. He's not there to serve the people of the Netherlands. He's there to serve the cult that owns him. That's why he's making decisions on the farmers that are absolutely in line with the World Economic Forum food policy globally, and destroying the production of food. That's why he's doing it. And so what I wanted to do in Amsterdam was just to put a few of these dots together, to put into context why apparently random things are happening. They're not random. And to say this also, 8 billion people cannot be controlled by a relative handful, because at the core of the core, that's all it is, unless the 8 billion acquiesce to their own enslavement, unless the 8 billion give their power to the few. And that is the whole story of human history. The many giving their power to the few. It could be a monarch, it could be a government, it could be a dictator. That's what they do. Fascism is never brought in by fascists. There's never enough of the fascists. Fascism comes in by the acquiescence of the population to fascism. That's how it happens, or communism, or any other form of tyranny. It is impossible, do the maths, people. It is impossible for 8 billion people to be controlled by a relative handful. It's impossible unless through acquiescence and unquestioning acquiescence, the billions give their power to the few. Okay, Rutte comes out of the Parliament building, or wherever he bloody lives, and he says, right, we've decided to do this. What if great tracts of the Dutch population say, not doing it, we're not having it? It's impossible to impose. Look at what would have happened during lockdown if in far, far, far more people in the Netherlands had got on the streets and said, we are not having this. It would not have been enforceable, even with the brutal buffoons in the uniforms that were being so brutal against protesters. They would not have been able to enforce it. Mm-hmm. Enforcement of fascism comes from the acquiescence of the many to the few, and it's got to stop. Otherwise, these people will reach their goal.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. We're going to round it up, but I do have to go to one more subject, because what I did, I went to all the questions that people wanted to ask you. And well, I cannot skip it because people will probably miss it if I don't bring it to the table. Reptilians.
Yeah.
Before we start, and I think we will have about 10 more minutes. Reptilians. What happened, I don't know if you got it, but we have a Dutch politician. He is from Forum for Democracy, Thierry Baudet.
Yeah.
He actually said in an interview with an American broadcasting, I think an internet platform, he said, well, I believe in reptilians. And the whole media started attacking him and together linking it to what you always say about reptilians. Now, what you are accused of is that you're saying that, and they bring it back to the Holocaust, that you think that the Jewish people are reptilians or whatever, and they are trying to take over the world, and that they were the one and designing the Holocaust, etc. Please, reptilians, what do you think about it?
I mean, you're obviously a reptilian, aren't you, Mordegai? I mean, yeah, I mean, this is one of the hardest things. It's like when you do things because you feel them, and you feel compelled to do them, but you're doing things and you're sacrificing in ways that other people wouldn't. Those other people often say, no, there's got to be a catch. And no one does in ways that other people wouldn't. Does that? He's got to be making lots of money, or he's got to be
Okay, I'm going to force reload again.
For this reason or that reason.
Or not.
And what they're doing is judging other people by their own perception. Obviously, there's lots of people all over the world that are doing things very challenging because they believe it's right, not for any ulterior motive. They believe it's right. And in the same way, so people say,
I'm force reloading again the page. At times that helps. And we will be looking back at this
someone
from
else,
time.
like Jewish
Interactive.
goes way back. You can go back through Rome, you can go back to Babylon, and probably go back further into Sumer and all that, and other parts of the world too. And what's happened is this global cult has gathered more and more power as what we call time has passed, to the point where it can go global. And that's what's happening now through globalization and all these other things that are going on. And so I looked at it and I thought, there has to be a common theme that spans from the ancient world right the way through to now, because people have been born, they've played a part in advancing the agenda of this cult, which is gathering power more and more globally, and then they die. And then others come in and they take over, and in this secret society network. And you think, well, you know, there's got to be a coordinating force behind all this. And so I started looking around the ancient world, because I thought, well, you know, this can't have just started. It must go way back. So if it does, it must be mentioned somewhere. And what I found, because people just, one thing, I've been doing this full time for 32 years. So I've got through a lot of research into a lot of areas. And I started scanning the ancient world, and I found this common theme, whether it's the Zulus in South Africa, whether it's the Gnostic belief system in what was then Egypt, the Gnostic people, whether it's Native Americans, the Aboriginals in Australia, whatever. And even Islam too, with the jinn. And there's this common theme of a force in the hidden manipulating human society. Common. Call them different names, of course they do. Like the Gnostics called the force archons, which is Greek for rulers. But the theme was the same. And the other thing is, you have to research over so many different subjects to get the picture. So then you ask the question, what do you mean in the hidden? Where are they then? And then you realize, as you research physics, etc., that actually what we call the human world is just a tiny band of frequency. That's all it is. It's not, when you look through your eyes, you're not seeing everything that exists in the space you're looking at. Just as when you are on a television station or a radio station under the old analog system, are you aware of all the other radio stations and television stations in the same space as the one you're picking up, because your device is tuned to that frequency? So they're all sharing the same space without interfering with each other, unless they're really close on the dial. Then there can be cross-frequency interference. So I then realized that, according to mainstream science, the electromagnetic spectrum, which we can only see a fraction of, is 0.005% of what exists in this, quote, universe as energy in all its forms. And visible light, which is the only band of frequency that we can see, is a fraction of the 0.005%. So humans are basically blind. The entirety of infinite existence exists beyond our ability to see it. So suddenly the stories, and the ones I was picking up through the intelligence military complex whistleblowers in places like America, who were telling me the same thing about what was going on now that the ancients were describing, that there is a non-human force. Reptilian is a major part of it, but it's not the only part, that is manipulating human society. And that this cult that I talk about is actually, within visible light, the representative manipulative force of that non-human force. And you start to realize, well, that's why we can't see it. That's why we can't see them. And that's why they talk about in Islam the jinn, which manipulate from the hidden. And this whole concept of frequency explains so many mysteries immediately, because there's so many mysteries in terms of reality and science. not because they have to be, but because if you, in terms of science, are allowed to go there, then you're going to start uncovering things you do not want the population to know. So you make sure that your science basically says, quantum physics apart, this world is all there is, everything's solid, and apart from everything else, and this is all there is, and there's nothing else, which is absolute unbelievable nonsense. So, as I said, if you have two frequencies, two radio station frequencies on the analog system that are very close together, you get interference. One is the main one, but there's another one that you can very clearly hear because they're so close on the dial. And there's another, we call it dimension, whatever you like, that bleeds into ours. Some people call it in
Force reloading once again.
That you can very clearly hear because they're so close on the dial. Work within our world through people like Klaus Schwab, Bill Gates, and all these other people. Will they know that? Absolutely, they will at that level. So, another thing that I found, Mordegai, as I researched this, and I tell you what, this absolutely applies to the Netherlands. What there is to come out about the Netherlands and Belgium in terms of this is absolutely fantastic. I started to realize as I was researching these players in this cult in term politics and stuff, is that invariably it led to pedophilia, and I explain in the books why that is, and Satanism. So I started to meet, because my life is incredibly synchronistic, I started to meet people in America and Europe and Australia who were describing to me how they had taken part in satanic rituals, some willingly without really knowing, and others against their will, most of them against their will. And they described how these major rituals, these Satanists are interacting with what the ancients called the gods. And they're interacting with these non-human entities that are, we're not able to see them, but they're close to us on the dial. Interaction can take place. And during the rituals, it's why they, you look at Satanists today. I mean, I'm talking about the major Satanists that are behind the governments and behind the royal families of the world and all the rest of it. They are doing the same rituals today as the Egyptians did and the Babylonians did and so on. Well, why wouldn't they? Would you modernize them? Well, you can to an extent, but this is the point. Those ancient rituals, when they were openly sacrificing people, now they do it in secrecy, were designed to create a frequency projection, a frequency field that thinned out this division between where the gods are, the demons as I call them, and this world. And if you keep doing that in the same place over and over and over again, it so thins out the energy difference at that point that these entities can actually slip through into our reality. And I've described to me so many times over the years by people who've experienced it, how these entities just appear. They can't stay here for long because there's a frequency problem, but they can manifest. And they manifest in the rituals. And these are the, quote, gods that these people are worshipping. And so one of the things that these, quote, gods do is they feed off human low vibrational energy. They feed off fear, resentment, hatred, conflict, anxiety, etc. So what they're trying to do all the time, you remember in the Matrix movie, the Morpheus character held up a battery and said the machines are trying to turn humans into one of these. That's exactly what they're doing, symbolically and in another way, literally. So they've structured society to create maximum fear, maximum anxiety, maximum hatred, conflict, etc. And they're feeding off it because every time, this is mainstream science now, every time we think and feel whatever the nature of that thought and feeling is, it generates a frequency unique to that thought and feeling. So if they can get you into low vibrational states of emotion and thought, then they are basically generating their own energetic sustenance. Because just with the analog radio system, let's say, if you're on a particular frequency and they're on a very low frequency, that's why they do what they do, then a high frequency goes straight through you like two radio stations. You can't absorb that. Never the twain shall meet. To absorb this energy, which is your sustenance, it has to be within the frequency band that you are operating on, that you are vibrating on. And therefore, they've turned humans into an energy source. And that's why they don't want people to open their hearts. They don't want people to come together and stop fighting each other. Because when you fight each other, you're both of sides, whether you think you're the morally the right one or not. When you fight each other, you are generating the energy that they absorb. They don't care what you're fighting for, as long as you're fighting, as long as you're in that emotional mental state called fighting. That's why what you fight, you become. You become what you fight. History shows that.
So we're full circle. We're getting full circle here, David, because it's a quarter past. I started to say, but it was before the recording started, and I said it to some people that entered the Zoom. What I found out, I was fighting also, especially from the beginning, standing on demonstrations, fighting, trying to bring ministers to court, etc. But I found out it did have a function of putting light on the situation. And I don't believe so much in fighting anymore, because the more you fight, the more you give the opponent the opportunity, especially because they have the monopoly on power and force, the more power you give them to become even stronger. We even see it, we saw it in the Netherlands, the moment that we break through a specific law and a judge decides to go, okay, this evening clock cannot stand according to the law, they just change the law. So it almost seems that the more you fight it, the stronger you make them, because they will just change it. But shining your light upon a situation is a completely different thing. Then you're not fighting, then you're actually just shining light. And I like what you just said, and then I really want to round it up, is what you fight, you become. Can you finish up with a beautiful message for the audience watching this?
Yeah, well, I mean, what you just said is spot on. They have power, but what power? They have institutional power because they created the institutions. They have the power of the game because they wrote and write the rules of the game. And what they want you to do is play their game by their rules. That's how they pull you in. So even if you challenge them, you're playing in their stadium where they make the rules. So this is why, instead of fighting people through the courts, which they own, they want to drain you of money and then have a compliant judge to make a ludicrous decision on their behalf. We use the most powerful word in the English language when it's used correctly. No. Never mind. I'm not going to take you to court. I'm just not doing it. And if enough of people say no to their own enslavement, and crucially say no to other people's enslavement, one of the great
Reloading once again. Force reload. It helps.
We use the most powerful word in the English language. What's happening? We are responsible. So the word no is the most powerful word in the English language. No, not doing it. How can Mark Rutte, how can this senile man, absolutely obvious on public display, Biden, how can Macron, how can Ardern, how can this boy in short trousers in Canada, Trudeau, impose their will on entire populations. It's impossible unless the population give their power to the little boy in short trousers and the senile man in the White House. That's the problem. And if you look throughout history, the same process, the same sequence, the more give their power to the few control, the more. We've got to break that cycle, and we can break it now. And when we do, we can build a world that is truly about freedom. It's truly about freedom to express yourself as you see fit, and truly is about an understanding that the body and the nature of the body, the color of the body, the culture of the body, the sexuality of the body is just an experience. It's just an experience, a brief experience we call human. What we are, what we all are, and in the end, what we are all the same expressions of, is one infinite consciousness. Some people call it God. It doesn't matter what you call it. This one infinite consciousness we're all in expressions of. And what this manipulation has done has got us to self-identify the I, who we are, with the labels of a human life. They are not who we are. They are what we are briefly experiencing. But if you can get people to self-identify with the labels of a human life, I am ours, I call them, then you have the perfect situation for creating the fault lines that divide and rule the population on the basis of labels, when actually all those different labels are, in the end, the same consciousness having different experiences. And that's why they don't want us to come together. They want to divide us. They want to social distance us. They want us fighting each other. They want us labeling each other and judging each other by the color of our skin or the nature of our culture, nature of our religion. I have a simple philosophy. Do what you like, believe what you like, so long as you don't impose it on other people. I'm only interested when it's imposed. What people believe and how people live their life, if they don't impose it on other people, is none of my business and none of anyone else's business. And we need just to get on and be at peace. Oh my God, call the police, with other people having different views to us. Let's just discuss them. Let's have a chat. But when you start to think that my belief must be the one that dominates, and that anyone that believes different from me must by definition be wrong, and even worse, be silenced, then you are creating the very tyranny that we're now experiencing.
Thank you so much, David. And I hope we see you on the 6th of November. And no matter how, digital or live, the 6th of November, we're going to be in Amsterdam. Okay, so for everyone, thank you so much, David. Thank you for your time. And,
nice to meet you.
Okay, thank you.
See you. Bye.
Wow, that was great. Great interview. Sadly, I didn't take it all in because of the things at Discord and the commands, editing, chats, YouTube, Facebook. I'm okay with that, of course. I know what I'm into when I stream these kinds of things. Now, the question, once again, I'll also turn up the mic a bit. Who wants to be in a Yeti? If so, you can join, and I will give you the password. Let me think of a word. Okay, I've got a wording. Copy link. Deelnemen. I will put on a privacy screen for the moment because I have to type in a password. And the lobby. Okay, password. Show password, so I didn't do caps or something. Okay. It only shows the 6 or 7 stars, asterisks. Back to the scene. Present chat to the side. Also, people at Facebook and YouTube, if you want to join the Jitsi in voice, you can disable your camera and only enable your microphone. Yeah, that's what they're gonna do, Miran Vanity, I think, because they have done this before with people from the United States. They didn't want to fly all the way for just half an hour of talking or even less. And then they put them on that big screen up on that bus or the bus from Forum for Democracy political party. The name is not in this, eh? No. Now, Jitsi is set totally well. Shall we start, Miranda? If so, then I can give you the link and the password. Right. The music is not showing up. Okay, that's for another time. Okay, Miranda will get. I'll put it in Discord because that one is open at the moment. And then I will send it to you directly. Direct mail, direct message. There you are. Jitsi. And behind it the password. Microphone on. No, do not save that. So people, now you will meet how, you will see how meet.jit.c works also. And we are going to talk about what just has been said by Mordegai Krispijn and David Icke. If you want to join, let us know. Especially the people from abroad who have English as their native language. Mother language, father language, family language. Let me check on Discord if Miranda can find it. Because we're also taking this more seriously. Kom eraan, zegt ze. She's on her way. So if you want to join, type it in chat and then we can invite you. Going to YouTube, yeah, YouTube, nothing. Facebook. Hallo Ruud. Hallo Hans. Ik leef, heet hij. Ja. Toelaten. Admit. Miranda is into the Jitsi. I was just talking to YouTube and Facebook. If you want to join, tell us. We can send you the link and the password. Was it difficult on Discord or not?
On this, you can hear me, right?
I can hear you.
All right. I hear myself 3 times. That's very nice.
Then you have the live still open.
No, I don't.
It has to be.
Maybe it's because my sound is too loud. Okay. No, it was not. It wasn't hard. It was. But when I typed in the password, it was like incorrect. So I don't know if it's because of a caps lock thingy or something. But I think you had to accept me.
Yeah, lobby is on too. The password was okay because else you wouldn't be here. And I have the password and the lobby.
Oh, okay. So this is going to be English?
Yeah, all in English for now. For now.
Oh, I
But you're
got.
doing great. Chat, be honest. Is he doing better than I or just as well? Which is okay, I think.
Just as well.
Yeah.
Just because you're not you're not fond of yourself or something.
You're not fond of yourself?
You're yeah, well, that you're not like you're saying like doing just as well.
Yeah,
Like
I'm not 100% English speaking the way it should be, but it's adequate. I can
yeah,
communicate in English. Utopietje, welcome. Prima. Do you want to join, you mean? So, what do you think? What do you think of Mr. Ike?
um yeah, well, I find it I find it a bit difficult because I really some of the things that he said I'm really I really agree with, but the thing with the reptilians and stuff that's just a thing that I find very very difficult. But it's not because he says it. It's everyone who says something about reptilians and stuff. I find very difficult to cope with because I really have a hard time believing that. You know, it's just too much of science fiction to me. But I really had a good laugh because he, when he said Mark Rutter,
Yeah.
I really found that very
But
funny.
one step back, eh? So that's your debate stance. My stance is that the universe is so big that I think that the human race is not the only race out there, however you want to say it. So there might be other life forms, be it reptilians or otherwise, and who knows, they can make themselves look human or make us think that they look human and be here. So I don't think it's so, but it could be. The Soul Mirror, do you want to join?
Yeah, get Eric in here. Yes,
If you
Eric.
want, Erik, please say so in chat because that saves me a lot of work. If you don't.
But and then we've got another one in here who's was pretty good at explaining what he thinks. But to reply on what you just said, I'm not saying that reptilians are fake or that they don't exist. That's not what I'm saying. I just find it very hard to to believe that they are for real because I cannot see them. You know, yeah, well, I can go to a Blijdorp or anything, and I can see the real animal thingies. But maybe I watched too much of Buffy the Vampire Slayer and stuff, and and thought it too much of science fiction. But I'm not saying that there aren't because I'm not think I don't think that they're not aliens. That there's not a possibility. But reptilians is just another thing, you know. But it would be actually it might be fun when Mark Rutter forgot how he forgot to go back to his normal form and then gets up
Yeah,
for the press conference on a Friday afternoon and then he's gonna be like how do you call that in English? Een hagedis.
yeah, lizard.
Yeah, well, if he comes up as a lizard, that would be fun. No, but I really think that David Icke has a lot of good things, but reptilians, well, it goes just a little bit too far for my head. But maybe on the other hand,
Hold that thought, Miranda. Miranda. For the English people, her name is Miranda in Dutch. She has a whole little bit of stand-up comedian about her name in English chats. Missy Artistic, do you want to join as well? Because you're now saying two words, wheat and tares. I think wheat, the plant, or what is it called, crop.
the
And
plant.
plant, yeah, it's English. And tares, I don't know. But do you want to join? Go ahead, Miranda.
In English, it's Miranda. Nobody said it's always Miranda or something,
Yeah.
but it's just Miranda. And if you like, you can say Mrs. Bouquet with Bucket.
Good
Let's
afternoon,
welcome
here,
Eric.
E.T. E.T.
I'm gonna.
Erik has put on his human suit and also joined.
E.T. phone home. E.T. phone home.
I'm going to change the category to just chatting. Yeah. Erik, you may say something. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Here
Are
we
you
are again.
are you in the south of Texas or something? Because you sound very, very far away. Or are you in space? Maybe that's
No, I'm right now in the kitchen.
in the kitchen.
Yeah,
What are you doing in the kitchen? Tell me. Tell us.
making lunch and to store the groceries they just gave here at the door.
Ah, you bought some groceries, so now your money's all gone. Nice.
Yeah, but we
Did
can
it
make
cost?
it
Did it
for
cost
another
you?
6 months.
Did it cost you an arm and a leg?
Sorry?
Did it cost you an arm and a leg?
I don't know. I think I don't want to know.
No. If you don't know, then it sure is not the case, because else you would notice.
No, my wife does always the groceries online. So I don't know what it really cost, but it wasn't expensive because
Oh, okay.
we did it oft, and it's actually real good stuff.
Great.
And is it from the farmer or is it from
Now this is from another
supermarket?
store, not a farmer store, but another store with meat and fries.
Oh no, not the supermarket, just another thingy.
Yeah, but this one is not that expensive.
Oh, so I should go live in the middle of nowhere, somewhere in the east of the country then.
Well, you need to buy it in bigger portions.
Yeah, well, but
actually
then
train
you
stuff.
yeah, but then you need like a big freezer, and I don't
Yeah,
have
we do.
I don't have a big freezer.
Guys, we are
really
getting off topic a lot, eh?
yeah, I know.
Yeah, but we do have one. So
Yeah, ET phone home. So okay, but maybe ET phone home wants to tell something about what he thinks about reptilians.
reptilians. Reptilians are cold-blooded, as you know.
No, we were talking about the interview with David Icke and
Yeah,
Mordegai.
me too.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Well, because I really don't. Yeah. Well, I don't
Well,
really believe in them, but you do. I think. Don't you?
well, I've been seeing videos of David Icke for many years now, so I know what his message is, and well, I think he's right. And it isn't really a matter of are there really hidden reptilians among us or not. That's not the point. It's the point of the way these people think. And if it might be like reptilians, so be it. But it's more what I think comes down to where we want to go, where we want to live in and create our own world. And that's what David's referring to. From what do you like to believe? It's up to you. And I'm not saying that they don't exist, but I keep it open.
Yeah, that's kind of. I think that's kind of the same thing as what I think about. Well, I keep it open. I really would never say that it's not there. But
Exactly.
I find it kind of hard, to think about politicians that just every morning they wake up lying in the sand or something in their big territory. How do you call that? Territorial? Whatever.
Good afternoon,
Hey.
Miss Married. Hello, yo. Can I call you by
Miss
your full
Marie.
name, or do you want it to be your Twitch name?
Wat zeg je? What did you say?
Will we call you Missy or your from name? First name.
Well, let's call her.
no.
Please call her Missy because Miranda is all hard. But how do you say Joke in English? It's
Hey,
a joke.
Yeah, it's a joke. Hi.
it's a joke.
It's her joke artistic.
Okay,
Great
so
Oh
to
she's new to
Great.
the now. Well, not new to the chat, but she's here now. What did you think about the interview, Missy?
What interview? Because
She tuned in too late. Okay.
I
Okay.
came in too late.
Oh, do you know
Okay.
David Icke?
Yes.
What do you think of David Icke? You don't have to say anything if you don't want to.
I know him from a long time ago. I heard about him, a long time ago. My opinion. I think what he's saying is partially maybe true in some sort, but I don't like how he describes these people as reptilians, because then it's a little bit, hoe zeg ik dat? Untrustworthy.
You can say it in Dutch,
like
and
fantasy.
we will try to translate. If you don't know it, say it in
Ja.
Dutch.
Unrealistic?
Ja, het is net alsof het dan een fantasieverhaaltje wordt. It's like a fantasy, like a story,
Science fiction.
like
It sounds like science fiction to a lot of people.
yes, and it's ridiculous. I mean, it's easy to ridicule this theory.
Yeah, it is.
So
And
yeah,
then
that's
you
why
wrote
I don't like it.
you wrote something in chat about
Yes,
those two words.
yes.
What did
I
you?
have the
Amen.
King James Bible in English, and Matthew 13, verse 24. Oh, I lost it. Oh, ships. It's about the parable. Even kijken, I lost it. 13. Even kijken. The parable of the wheat and the tares. And it's about a crop, and it's you can hoe zeg je dat? You can explain it as there are two types of people, one bad, one good. It depends.
So in that book
On
of
the
the Bible,
explanation.
Oh ja, ik ben gemute geloof ik.
This when people want to explain about reptilians, they often use this parable
Okay.
about the wheat and the tares.
Any follow-up questions to Missy? For like Miranda or Eric? Do you have any follow-up questions for her?
No, I kind of think that she, Missy, you understand English, right? You know what I'm saying, or.
Yes.
All right, great. No, otherwise, I would have tried Dutch. No, I think that you think the same way that I do about David Icke. Like, to me, it becomes science fiction really soon when it's about reptilians. But on the other hand, I do think that he has a lot of good other ideas. So yeah, that's a hard thing. I never heard of the wheat and the tares. Yeah, well, I heard about weed, but I don't think you mean that sort of weed.
Yeah.
I think it's another kind that you're talking about. I do interested in what you're saying. Maybe that Eric knows something about it.
Nou, ze gaf antwoord, Miranda. Het is tarwe. Dus de tarwe zijn zeg maar de goede mensen.
Ja, ze zeggen onkruid versus tarwe. Nou, zo wil ik liever niet kijken naar mensen. I don't want to look at people like, okay, you're wheat and you're tare.
Yeah, but do you think that people like good and bad?
No. The Bible says that Jesus, schriftgeleerde, hoe zeg je dat, scriba? He called the scriba addergebroed. So in the Bible, there you have two things: wheat and tares, and
Viper.
Jesus saying the scriba, de schriftgeleerde, priests were other gebroed, were like
Like
reptilians,
devil
right?
childs or something. I really don't know how to say it in another way.
What?
Other gebroed. It's like an other is a snake, right?
Snake. Yeah,
Other
snake. That's a
like a
reptile.
snake, like a snake child or something.
Yeah, a reptile.
Mm.
So it has his base in the Bible, maybe, but yeah, I don't know.
But you don't like to think of people like they're good and bad.
No, because I believe nobody is born bad.
Well, I believe that too. I think it's nature nurture, but that's another
Yeah,
thingy.
nature, nurture. Yes, nature versus nurture. Very good. Yes. So yeah, when I hear him saying stuff about reptilians, I always think about this. I don't like it. It's I know that the elites are some of the elites are evil. Of course they are. But yeah, I don't know. There is good in all people, and there's bad in good people also. I don't say I'm a good person by just like that. Not completely, not 100%.
But you know what's a funny thing? Well, this is not really funny because I've got a book from David Icke,
Mm-hmm.
and it's called "Everything You Need to Know," but they didn't tell you, but they never they never told you. But
Mm-hmm.
I've got the Dutch version, so that's kind of hard because we're talking in English right now. But what I do found kind of funny is that we were just talking about science fiction and stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going through the book right now a little bit. Well, not scanning in the book, like okay, well, what about archons and
Yeah.
reptilians and stuff? But it's all in Dutch, so then I have to tell it in English. That's really, really, really hard. But the funny thing is that my eye just kept that in his book he says this is being filmed or being used in science fiction films and TV shows like Star Trek. So I'm like, all right. So he in his book he's also about that. So that we think some things that he says are science fiction like. I don't think that
Mm-hmm.
that's really a bad thing because he also talks about it himself. So I really think that he doesn't really say that that all the politicians and all the world leaders are changing themselves into reptilians, but I think that he's also more like that the possibility is there and that he's just explaining a lot of things about about that the fact that they might be that there might be another form of humans. But
Yeah.
I think that Eric or ET phone home. Maybe he's just grabbing his lunch.
I've
Maybe
just
English.
allowed Monique to enter. Monique, what's your first reaction to it all?
Well, hello Monique. Welcome here. Nice.
Hey, yeah.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. Beautiful people, and also all of the different opinions and feelings about David
Can you
Icke.
get a little bit closer to your microphone, Monique?
Hello.
And now,
Yeah, way better. Yeah, go ahead.
better. I have it now almost straight on the mic.
Eric
So,
just said hello, but Eric's also somewhere like meters far away from his mic. So, but he said hello, so you know.
yeah, everyone. Hi. Yeah, my reaction. Yeah, I was the reaction on David Icke or what we're talking about here, because the reptilians, of course, is near to my heart. Because for me, they're
Okay,
real.
whatever you want. Talk about what you know. Go ahead.
What I know, well, that I myself, for me, for example, that he was doing that interview, for me, I was like, oh yeah, I recognized actually everything what he said, because for me, everything what he says, and it's like I have another way. I would have another way of telling it, but he has his passion and his fire in his lectures, etc. But it resonated in me like with reptilians, and I'm now also nervous, funny enough, while I'm doing live streams and talks about it, and now I feel the nerves to talk about it. But they are real. That's my view on it. Yeah, the reptilians especially, and yeah, what can I say? And I put it also in the chat, like, what about? It's the question to everyone, like, what about all these statues which depict also reptilian shapes and all kinds of? How can you then explain that? That's just a question I was wondering.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, first of all, Monique, you don't have to be nervous because everyone's opinion in here is being respected. So everything you think or believe, you can. You know, that's the beauty of this sort of conversations. Or that's what I think. That everyone's accepted and respected for what they think and what's their view on this. I hope. Well, I know that you respect other people's visions too if they're different from yours. But what kind of statues do you mean? I think I missed your question in the chat, but maybe that's because Stream Elements is all blowing up like that. What kind of special of statues do you mean?
Well, there is a lot across the world. If you look for it on the internet, you can videos about all kinds of beings which are depicted. For example, even on cathedrals, you see their lizard-like and reptilian-like shapes, or like bats, giant bats with these lizard-like features. That's what I mean. But also, Egypt also depicts other creatures. You have the giant statues, several places in the world. Because then where do they come from? It was just a question to, like, not to convince everyone that they are real, because for me, it's also not a belief system. For me, they are real because I experienced them. So yeah, that was just what I was wondering about. Where do you all think the statues then come from? That they are being depicted everywhere in the world.
Well, I have a theory about that. I love to watch ancient aliens, and in a lot of cities worldwide that also look the same, even if they are a half a world away. You also have depictions of all kinds of what they say, of course, space people. Eh? But then when I look at the African tribes and their doctors, so to speak, the shamans, and all the type of clothing they have and the helmets from straw, I think, yeah, that these were just like Inca, the doctors. So it's also what you want to see in it. And indeed, the Bible says bad people are like snakes and good people are like olive oil or something. And all those kinds of, how did you say it, Missy, that word?
Sorry, wheat and tares, or
Yeah, but the way they put this together, the example, did you call that word? Parabels. So
parabellen, yeah.
Parabellums, perhaps. No, these are bullets. Well, anyway, I'm now distracting myself. So back on topic a bit, and then we will continue on the lizards and the alien stuff. Is Ike now allowed, because I was doing a lot behind the scenes while he was live, is he allowed to the Netherlands or not? Does anyone know?
He's banned to speak, right?
Well, they want to do that, but I don't know if it's already, if they succeeded.
I find it very, hoe zeg je dat? I find it scary if people like him are banned. It's not going well.
Monique?
If I know about him being allowed, well, I thought there was still going on that he was not allowed to speak on the Dam Square, but I have not an update yet.
No, okay. And if he is or isn't, then what? What do you feel about it? And again, you don't have to answer. If it's uncomfortable, then and you don't want to share your opinion on that, it's always allowed to not say it.
Yeah, about that parallel or what
No.
exactly?
If he is or is not allowed to speak, then what? Do you agree? Do you disagree?
I think he should be allowed to speak. I mean, it should be freedom of speech. So I think it's ridiculous to withhold him from speaking out. I see it's also a tactic because he's famous. So I believe that the people here in the government here are scared of that he will get too much power because he is very driven in his speeches. He's very passionate. So I think he should be able to speak. Freedom of speech.
Yeah. Erik, what do you think on this topic? If you are capable, because you're also doing the groceries, I think.
Yes, I'm here. I'm still stacking the groceries.
Okay,
but
continue with
I
that
do
then.
have the laptop with me. Well, I think it's very disturbing to hear that they want to ban him. It says all to me that he is touching the truth. And it doesn't matter what you believe. If you believe in the church or in the Bible, you can't check all those facts. So why can't you believe David Icke when it's going about reptilians? You can't check. It's a matter of belief. What do you believe? So I think it's very disturbing to see that he is banned and they are trying to stop him. That says enough for me. And for democracy in general, it's very, very disappointing. And that's why we need to share this kind of messages and streams and talks, even this talk with you guys. It's important that people talk about it, that they know about it, because this is not a thing that is going on for the last 2-3 years. No, this is going on for at least 30, 40, 50 years, and maybe longer. And just what David said, you can see the dots, and then you're not at the point that you can see the totality of the plan. You need to connect the dots, and when you can connect the dots, you can see it fits like a puzzle.
Yeah.
And that's how I see it. It's not a question of believing, it's seeing what is happening.
Even with the brutal buffoons in the uniforms that were.
I don't know if I can react.
Yeah, you were next, Miranda. Go ahead.
Okay, well, Barry, for you, maybe you should check I don't know if you check the comments. But somebody's asking to get with us. Maybe you can handle that on Facebook.
Yeah, you talk about Colinda, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm typing as we speak.
Oh, all right. I didn't know if you saw it. I've got two things. So first of all, I don't know if he's allowed or not. I think that's still the question. To be or not to be? That's the question. But I really think that he should be able to speak, especially because we've got freedom of speech over here, and they put it on anti-Semitic thoughts and stuff. But David Icke never said that that the Holocaust doesn't exist. He just had his doubts about it. So, but I really think that a lot of things nowadays are being getting a label with anti-Semitic, just to get people to be framed as bad people in the media and stuff. But I think that he should be able to speak, because people want to listen to them or they don't. That they also have their own choice, right? They can just go to the damn square, or they just leave when they don't want to hear it. And last week also a politician here got banned from the Tweede Kamer. It's not the second room. I don't know how to call it, but
Yeah,
he's got a
one of
ban.
the layers of parliament. Then people worldwide mostly know.
Yeah, well, from one of the opposite parties, so like the parties from who don't like the government IDs. He's banned for a week right now. And he's being called dangerous and stuff because he knows about the WEF and all that sort of things, and he's speaking about it. And now he's got a ban for not giving up extra income. Well, there were 21 other politicians in 2020 who did not give up extra income, and they did not get like a sanction of like this kind. So it's more of a how do you call that, vriendjespolitiek. It's like well, they don't like Thierry Baudet, so no, we're gonna ban him for a week. And now it's David Icke. We don't like him, so he cannot come to Holland, and he cannot speak at Dam Square. And I think that's just trying to shut up everyone who has thoughts about the government that the government don't like.
Yeah.
But a second thing, I wanted to give a comment about somebody who had a question in the chat. It's huisgenoot Tom. And I think it's a guy. So he said, I'm interested in what Moran just said. Does everyone share the sentiment of accepting any belief and ideology? Is there no limit? For me, it's like everyone can have their own thoughts, their own beliefs, their own religion, and everything they like, as long as it's if we can be respectful to each other. Everyone's vision I will respect, and I will I want to talk to everyone. So it's not like, oh, you think this, you think about something, you disagree on something that I think about, some situation or something, then I don't like you. No, ever. I think that it's just as important, because we want David Icke to speak on Amsterdam Square because he thinks otherwise. So if we're going to be the people who say, no, we don't want to speak to other people who think who disagree with us, then we're just being the same. So well, a limit, okay, for me there's one limit. I will never respect anyone who likes child abuse or something, but that's my only limit. Then I'm like, no. I will never respect any form of that. But that's the one thing. Otherwise, I'm open to hear anyone's opinion, even though I disagree on it, as long as we can keep being nice to each other and respectful. And I'm kind of curious about what the rest thinks of this. So maybe that Barry wants to answer this.
Missy, very well. You raised your hand. Good idea. Let's go to the hands up system. Missy, go ahead.
And I want to address, hoe zeg je dat? George Orwell, wrong thing. That's, hoe zeg je dat? Dat vind ik gevaarlijk. I find it dangerous that this, hoe zeg je dat? Deze free speech ban is getting worse and worse. So, yeah. I wanted to add that, but
Yeah,
Miranda,
even
verder wel dan.
politicians are muted in the place where it happens.
Yeah, that's dangerous. Yeah.
Missy, if you want to say something and you don't know how to say it, maybe I can help you with translating, if you like.
Yeah,
So, I will if you want. Go on next.
Thank you. Thank you, darling. Yeah.
Okay, then I had my hand raised because Miranda asked. Yeah, same thing as Missy says. It's very simple. Listen to everyone. Keep what's good for you. As long as freedoms don't interfere with other people's freedoms, let it be freedom. So he should not be denied access to Amsterdam or speaking in the public.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I did not get the question all good from huisgenoot Tom. He just said, I didn't mean the limit of agreeing, but the limit of ideology and beliefs that harm other people. Alex Jones talking about how he doubted Sandy Hook, for example, has been devastating. He admitted he was wrong, and there's clear evidence he knew from the start he was wrong. To me, he should have been silenced from the start. Free speech ends when it does more harm than good.
Yeah, I want to weigh in on that right away. That's what mainstream media also does, because they like to put oil on the fire to generate more views. It's like clickbait, and then they will. I don't know if this is the same saying in English, but they will streak people against the hairs. They will try to ignite their anger to get yeah, the debate. It's not really a debate, but the debate going. It's just clickbait in a very negative form. Then Missy raised her hand. Go ahead, Missy.
I fully agree on what you said. They won't ignite really tensions, or hoe zeg je dat? Yeah, tensions. And what I find disturbing is the abuse they're allowed to put on those freedoms. Hoe zeg je dat? Speech, hoe zeg je dat? Die vrijheidsvechters. Freedom fighters, like Alex. He has a punishment of $1 billion. I mean, hello. They want to ruin your entire life.
Yeah.
It's not going well, and as long as people are allowing this, they can do it to us also, us normal people, like the Chinese model, that you're shut off if you speak up.
Yeah.
It's now Alex Jones, and next it will be you and me.
Yeah, for sure. If they are starting to mute the politicians in the House of Lords, you can't get any higher. Next is a judge that will be silenced.
Yeah.
Monique Wallace, you are not raising your hand. Perhaps you don't know this future in Jitsi. Do you want to weigh in?
Yeah, I am also listening. I know about the hand. I just wanted to click on it, but I know the feature. Yeah, I was also letting in also a huisgenoot Tom, also about Alex Jones, etc. Not so specifically that I want to talk about him, but I agree with Missy Artistic. Like he is being, he has really been damaged by that he expressed this, and I find that alarming. That he now withdrew. So is it true that he also admitted he was wrong? Because that's what I find very alarming in the world. That is for me so. I did not really have the latest on him, but that's what alarms me.
Yeah, that was it. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, that and when before that also about the limits of and beliefs and to also allow people to talk. I truly, but I have my limits too. So if I would, for example, there would be someone who is really honoring demons, etc. I will call it. I do this a bit discreet and not to make it too heavy. Then I will speak out. So then I have my limits. For example.
Yeah, everyone has the limits. A famous example is, of course, pedophilia.
Yeah,
there was a moment for the English-speaking viewers in the Dutch politics history. They wanted to allow a pedophile political party, and that was the line in the sand for like 90% of the people here, if not 99. But Miran Vanity has her hand raised. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I didn't I didn't see everything about Alex Jones. What I do know is that he has apologized to the families. But the thing is that he also said that he's done apologizing. But yeah, he admitted he was wrong, but then again he got this punishment, like a million, no, $1 billion, because all the families, they all were hurt, and they all felt really yeah, how do you say that, they all felt really, really harmed because of it. But then again, I really believe that in the USA, um, when the family, I think that's it. The whole thing was started with one family, and then all the families, of course, they applied. And I think that in the USA there is a lot of um, money, like things like I mean they all seem to think, oh, we can get money, so let's just apply, and just go with all of them. But he said he was wrong. um but I do think that when people have free speech and they speak out, and that harms people, should they be stopped then? Yeah, I guess yes. Then, but on the other hand, right now in the whole world, you can say boo, and everybody and somebody's is harmed, and everybody's harmed with like everything. So he just said that he thought it was a hoax, and I can well, no, I don't understand because I'm not in that situation, but I can think of the fact that people really felt bad about it when you lose a child, and I don't know how that feels, luckily. But when you lose your child, and somebody on the internet who has a lot of reach, um or has a big fan base, is saying like it's a hoax and it's all fake and stuff. I think I can understand that would be very, very hard to hear. On the other hand, is it fair for us to hear all the fake news things? And there are a lot of people who are now been shut up, just because they have a different opinion, or when they want to speak the truth, they're being shut up. And that's the thing that I really hate. But when it really harms people, um, yeah, I don't know really how to some sort of an example, like when some Nazi guy is speaking up, and they put him on the TV, and yeah, because freedom of speech, and he's trying to get everyone to hate on some sort of people. Yeah, that harms people, and I don't think that should happen. But when we're talking about people not agreeing on government's decisions, yeah, I think then there should be freedom of speech, and that you can also have doubt and speak about your doubts on things that happen in the world, but not in some sort of extreme ways. I think Monique wants to say something.
Yeah, then Monique is next.
Yeah, I'm listening. That's why. But I feel I will express my reactions like I saw that example of this Alex. I won't say his surname, and then I feel in me such because I come from that world, and now for me it's totally confusing, and not confusing because I know more ins and outs about what happened there and what he now apologized for. So I think why I mentioned like it's so alarming to me is that I even feel now when I'm speaking like I have my own truths, my own experience with what happened there. And that is so a lot of people starting to become confused or even be fearful of talking about it. I also feel that now. I even at this moment don't dare to speak out what I know about that certain item. So I think that this Alex was targeted, and I think also blackmail, but that it was to totally confuse and even embed. That's my opinion, and I'm just full of it in my heart now. Like that it's. I don't even dare to speak about it while I know. And if you investigate that whole thing, what happened there, a lot of things don't add up. Like it's to. I feel that's my opinion. I think it's done to make everyone fearful of who investigates and watches, and I really investigate also there where he was accused of and what he now acknowledged. And yeah, I think it's a pity that he was attacked. So I don't wish that for anyone. But it's for me so alarming because, yeah, I'm really shaking now because there's a lot of hooks and, how do you say that? Hooks and crans, or yeah, haken en ogen, hooks and
Yeah.
crans or something. Hooks and eyes to that whole case there with that school. And yeah, I feel, especially from people like me coming from that trauma-based, and I'm not like everyone else, I know that, but I feel very fearful of talking about it. That's what happens then to me. So that's why I mentioned it. I found it so alarming to let people investigate. Please let people be free to investigate everything.
Yeah, the more informed you are, at least you make your own choices by then.
Exactly.
But the
And you
thing is,
should
a
be
lot of
free.
people don't want to make choices. They want to follow a leader.
Yeah. Exactly.
You can continue, but if you don't, can you see who is raising the hand as well?
Yeah, Miranda. Miranda, go ahead.
Yeah, there's a question for you, Barry, I think, from the chat. It's okay, but Barry, why should that party be silenced, but others shouldn't? Where's the line? To me, FVD, Forum for Democration, I think. It's crossed the line without a shadow of doubt. Just like another some sort of political party, which I don't want to talk about because there should not be political parties like that about child things and stuff. I also asked in the chat why Huisgenoten thinks that FVD crossed the line, but I think you were talking about some political party.
Yeah, I
Yet,
sent him a whisper so he can come into the Icke. Or else
yeah,
I'm
but he
using the platform to answer just one question that's very wide to answer. But I'm glad to if he joins the Jitsi.
Yeah, but he just said that he didn't want to because he thinks that he just doesn't know enough
Yeah,
about.
so it's a good learning experience that you can.
Yeah. I hope that he wants to come here
Yeah, I
because
think he
everyone's
wants
welcome
to.
here.
It's in your
And
whisper. It's in your whisper,
yeah,
Huisgenoten.
we're not gonna we're not planning on screaming at you or something
No.
because you think otherwise. We just want to talk to people who think otherwise. So you're always welcome. Yeah, well, I also asked you why it crossed the line. And I wanted to ask something else because you also said in the chat that Alex Jones was doing it purely for financial gain. Do you mean that he was trying to get more viewers and stuff? So,
Yeah, but the thing is, Miranda, then it's about Alex Jones and FVD, and that's not the topic right now.
No, yeah, sorry. I was
Yeah,
just.
but I get it. You are not doing anything wrong. I get it. Erik, go ahead.
Put your mic on.
Thank you. Well, I just wanted to hook up what Monique said and what is going on with the FVD, the Forum of Democracy, and it's connected because Monique is talking about the fear, and a lot of people are seeing the plans rolling out and they have some kind of fear for it. And Monique has been there already. So I understand how she feels and how it could be hard for her to talk about.
Yeah.
Because she has been there. As what I think about the form of democracy and what someone said in the chat, they have gone too far. I don't think they did because they called some things out which other parties in the government also did, and there were no restrictions. So they are obviously trying to put the opposition away from the discussion. There is no doubt about it. If you look clearly at different cases that has been in the parliament, which makes the parliament obviously ridiculous of what they have done with rules and regulations and laws. And now this is, for me, it's clearly that they want to swipe the opposition away. So that is another kind of fear when we're talking about, and they fear the opposition. And if you are not thinking the way they are thinking, as they believe is pure democracy, well, then I think they are more blind than anybody else. And that's how I see it. Point.
I'm answering the chat. Missy, you raised your hand. Yeah, I agree, Erik. Yeah. For
I
what I
agree.
have. Go ahead, Missy.
Yeah, I agree fully, Erik. Very good. And hoe zeg je dat? When they are ridiculizing the opposition and all sounds of hoe zeg je dat? Alle tegengeluiden. Dan wordt het gewoon heel steeds gevaarlijker. Want hoe zeg je dat? It becomes more dangerous. Hoe zeg je dat? Wrong speak. Ridiculizing the truth, maybe the truth. Hoe zeg je dat? When people are hearing, oh, you're a conspiracy terrorist, theorist. Hoe zeg je dat? People are so eager to believe anything, and they want to be accepted so much. They believe anything. It's like the clothes of the emperor. The emperor clothes.
Yeah.
I'm saying that for 2 years, but it's terrible.
Yeah, perhaps they don't know about the emperor's clothes. That they think, what is he going on about?
Yeah. It is when you are ridiculizing the truth, or maybe truth, or something in de hoe zeg je dat? Iets wat lijkt op de waarheid, dan wordt het wel heel moeilijk. It becomes very difficult to understand, to read the times you're living in.
Yeah.
Het is gewoon zo erg.
Yeah, but what is truth?
Yeah,
Your truth
that's
is
right.
not particularly mine, and the other way around. So, yeah, in basic, what you say is true. But everybody has another view, another opinion, another experience. So it's more like, if you don't think like they are, then you are wrong. Well, that's not the case.
And evil.
That's what they want to put through your throat.
Yeah, and you must be punished, locked up. You must get $1 billion fine.
Yeah, you can play opposition with their rules.
Okay, Missy muted, so go ahead, Miranda.
Yeah, well, I agree on it. Orally just said, why do they fear a political party with 5 seats? Well, I don't know. I cannot answer.
Can I answer it for you then? Very short.
Yes.
No matter if you even have one seat in the second chamber of politics in the Netherlands, you have the eyes of the press on you. You have an official seat in government. So everything you say is official. It will get in the history of the Netherlands. And if you say controversial things, they want to trigger people and journalists. Even one sheet for a person that can speak very well might end up in like 20 sheets or 30. So that's
And
my
because they're
answer.
the spotlights are on them.
Yeah, they can have spotlights just because they are a member of the parliament.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I just thought let's just answer something what Orly says. I try to keep up with the chat on Twitch because I can only do Twitch, otherwise I'm gonna go crazy. I do think that Kalinda again asks you on Facebook because she I think it's a she was on the phone. She asks for the URL again.
It's
So
in her messenger. I told her twice and I tagged her. So if you can't find it, yeah, then she will
well,
find
maybe
it
she has
later.
to look in the messenger on the message. How do you call it?
Request en spam
Berichtverzoeken?
Ja, de request of spam folder.
Ja.
Verzoek of
All right.
berichtenverzoek of spam. Kan die ook zitten. Heb ik er ook geschreven. If
I
you are
really didn't
listening,
even know that
Colinda.
there was a spam folder.
Yeah, Colinda, if you're listening, check your messenger.
There might be message requests because you're not friends with. I think maybe you're not friends with Barry, so you cannot
I'm
see
not
it.
sure. Maybe I am.
All right. Well, beliefs and stuff, and the truth. To me, it's like I don't believe everything that I hear. There are a lot of people in the last, for me, in the last 2.5, maybe almost 3 years. That's really a long time, by the way. In the last years, there were a lot of people speaking up about everything, but when I do not see something like an official document or proof that it's true what everyone says, I'm not like, oh, okay, well then it will be true because 40 people on Facebook posted online or something.
Sorry, yeah, go ahead. I will mute as well. I know what you mean. I agree.
No,
I
no, no,
agree
don't
already.
mute
Go
because
ahead.
this is fun. This is fun when you're laughing. It's fun. Uh, maybe you laugh because you agree with me, but I don't. I'm not like, oh, so 40 people on Facebook in some sort of a group. They say that that yellow is now blue. I'm not gonna believe that instantly. Um, it's no, I will not believe that. I need proof and official documents. So now Missy thought like, oh, I'm gonna go in twice to.
Oh,
Yeah, it doesn't
Should
matter.
I
I will
throw out
kick
the
the
other
other
one?
one. I will kick the other one.
yes.
Great, I'm gonna throw out the other one. Goodbye. Okay, so
Thank you.
sorry for that. But to continue, I really need some sort of proof. When I see documents that's been published on tweedekamer.nl, then I will believe that some things are true or official documents from the WEF or something. I will never believe something that just pops on Facebook, and I think that that's a big problem for people who just believe everything they see, and then they're gonna copy it, and they're gonna just copy paste, and they put it on their Facebook like, oh, that's the truth, and they never seem to wonder like, if is this really true, or is it from speld.nl, that's some sort of satirical news page, so kind of thing. And I really saw people reposting things from the satirical news, like, this is the truth, and I was like, how can you even believe that this is the truth? This is the most weird thing ever. Like, oh, there's gonna be purple snow this year in the middle of August, and they just copy paste it, and that's the truth because they see it on the internet, and that's a big problem, I think. But Barry was laughing, and I think that Barry is really known with this sort of things because he debunked like 50,000 news messages.
Yeah, I stopped with it. You can do at least 4 a day.
Yeah. So but you agree on me that that's a thing. Like, I don't think that the truth is something that's, yeah. How do I say that? I don't think that the truth is something to choose from. I think that the truth is just out there, and yeah, well, you can believe in things, and I think that that's called a vision. or your beliefs. But I do think to me, I need some proof of things before I can really say that I think that's the truth. But maybe that's a vision too. So please reply to me,
Yeah,
because
I
I think
did, but my microphone was muted.
no.
Yeah, but only the last sentence. Yeah, yeah, but that's just it. We are agreeing on this. Monique,
Yeah,
do
but
you want to add in?
How do you know that? I just wanted to raise the hand.
Oh no, no, that's a coincidence. I was asking.
Yeah. Well, I feel there is, in my opinion, also to see I'm with them. I mean the people who want to have this world into the shadows, and I think people are so more in a hypnotic state. And what I feel is that there's, next to proof, I also need proof, especially with my past. I'm the one maybe the most who wants to have the proof now into the world to prove who I am, for example. But I feel that's also important, that all these automatic reactions, like people on social media, then I also came across that a lot of posts which I then first need to check if it is true, so that it's becoming an impulse, like, yeah, I'm going to share it, yeah, just send it away. And I feel that it's important that the feeling is whole, or that the feeling is also there, so that I miss more and more feeling. So what does someone feel with it? You know what I mean? The intuition, like feeling,
Yeah,
the
I
gut.
agree. Yeah, I understand.
And I think, and I do that combined with also the need of proof, also with especially things which are happening in the world. But that's what I wanted to add. And also with for years already, I hear my truth or the truth. And in my opinion, there is always the truth, which is the truth. That's, if you know what I mean. And I don't mean that to say that I am the truth, or I speak out. As you see, I cannot even explain it well enough. But I feel there's purposely being thrown in, that truths are being mixed up. So
Yeah.
it's all a tactic, and that's basically what I wanted to say. Like,
Yeah, if
truth,
Miranda can
my
translate this. Leugens worden vaak verpakt in hele en halve waarheden. Dus je krijgt eigenlijk een gifmengsel, chili bijvoorbeeld, in een pannenkoek die is deels wel goed, maar deels ook vergiftigd. Of helemaal vergiftigd.
Leugens zijn verpakt in?
Hele of halve waarheden, om het beter bij de massa te laten vallen en dat te laten geloven.
Well, I don't know the real saying, but I think you mean that lies are often
Wrapped. The word is wrapped.
Yeah, lies are often wrapped in half truths, or pieces of truth to just get it into the minds of the masses, like that they're gonna believe in the thing you want them to believe in. Is that what you
Yeah,
meant?
exactly.
All right, and then I want to say hi to Lee. I think she's just eating right now, I think. Hi, Lee.
Hello,
Nice
Biking
you're
Cat.
here.
Biking
Hello,
Cat, hello. If
Lieke.
you want to join in, let me know. Lietje, you're new
Hello.
you are new here in the Jitsi for now for this topic, so go ahead. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, you are all talking about the truth, but I'm asking myself, what is the truth? So I don't believe anyone. I just go look for myself to search for the truth. And with what I have experienced in my life, I think by myself, okay, this sounds, for me, it sounds like the truth to me.
Yeah. Yeah, this goes
It's
for all
not
people.
it's not about what other people think or what other people say. It's I go to my own intuition, my own instinct, my own experience. And when I go search for a truth, then for me it is the truth. For for someone else, it doesn't matter. They don't see it as the truth because they are scared for some things, so they don't accept it as the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, correct. That's what I said just a minute ago. Your truth is not particularly mine, and the other way around. And I wrote a quote a few months ago about this. There is always some lie, of always some truth in a lie, but never a lie in the truth.
Oh, do your own research if you don't believe it.
Yep.
Yeah, and also realize that no matter what you believe, what can you do with it? We are not we are not a member of parliament, so we can only talk to other people and hope it will resonate with a lot of people, and they will bring it out on the streets or the way they vote or into everyday practice, shopkeepers, etc. Because then things will change. Else it won't change. We are just people thinking about things, and that's personal and doesn't make things happen.
But it's much easier to be manipulated
Yep.
or indoctrinated at school by saying this is the truth. So you have to keep yourself to that truth or otherwise. And that's making fear in other people. They going to have an emotion of fear. And fear is your biggest enemy. Don't let people fear you because of what? The death? Okay, death is scary, but it doesn't finish at death. When you believe in reincarnation, sorry, excuse my
Yeah,
English,
doesn't matter. Go ahead. We understand.
then you don't have to fear death because uh, after this life, your soul continues on with living. Missy said a few hours before I was in the car, sorry, driving, busy. But she said before, people don't get born evil. I don't agree on that because people are getting born with a soul and a soul lives on forever. So there are bad souls and people getting born with an old soul.
Yeah,
Right.
that's a more philosophical point of stance. And the Bible
You
speaks
don't
about.
have to believe me.
No, no, I understand. The Bible also speaks about that, and I know from science, and this is a belief system too. In science, they say 1 or 2% of the people is cluster B. This meaning narcissists, psychopath, or sociopath. And these are not all serial killers. So you might never know, but they still are like that. The empathy is played, not for real, etc. And but psychologists who monitor this, they are agreeing worldwide that a lot of people in big businesses and politicians are in fact cluster B personalities. Being
It's in the Bible.
incarnated or not, I think it is so.
Missy was right about it's being in the Bible, and it already begins with Cain and Abel.
Yep.
Cain was the bad guy, and Abel was the good guy.
Oh, we lost some people. Missy is gone. Monique is still here. Monique, do you want to weigh in?
Yeah, well, there are several layers of how you can see truths or feel truths, but I agree with Lee. I hope I pronounce it well. That yeah, I also am first going to myself and what do I feel, and that is important to find the truth. Then first go to yourself, inner self, and then find out. And then I was talking about also the psychopath. It was psychopath. Did I hear that well?
Yeah.
A certain percentage. And that's interesting because I met beings in human bodies, to say it like that, and I know there is true evil without a consciousness of being. So that is my truth. So you want to say something, Lee? Yeah.
Yes, because I was hearing something very interesting the other day, is that the elite is using psychics in
Is using what? What
governments.
was the word?
Psychics,
Oh, psychics. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
gestoorde,
Yeah.
yeah, in our governments, because they are emotionless, they are narcissistic, they don't care about people. So they can look at themselves in the mirror and say, I've done a good job today. I fulfill my duty.
Yeah, they're not empathic at all.
No, exactly.
No way. You just can see it.
No emotion.
Yeah.
Miranda, go ahead. You had your hand raised.
I don't know if I'm now because I thought that Monique was trying to talk, but
Oh yeah, true. Yeah.
didn't you want to
Monique,
talk, Monique, or?
did you want to respond? Sorry.
No, I saw also Miranda put on her. No, I agree. Also, Eric said, well, I agree. There is no consciousness, and I have, of course, a deeper experience from my own experience, which is my truth. And I know there are also other beings who influence the consciousness and also withhold people who do have consciousness but cannot radiate that. So there is an inside being, and in the outer layers it's built up with MK Ultra mind control, in which they cannot show their feelings and their heart. But yeah,
Exactly.
Did you ever saw a show by? Yeah, show's a bit weird word, but did you have a live? Did you ever see a live stream by Monique Lee?
No.
Okay, you can follow her.
No. I quit following people and I just go do my own research.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's good as well, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand that too. I also have to limit my daily portion of watching things. So I understand that, Lee.
Because I'm tired of low frequent people. You have a certain frequency of people.
Mm-hmm.
And the people who are still in their low frequency because of the MK Ultra shit experience they are into, they will not get higher. They will always stay in this low frequency. And I'm not existing in this low frequency. So I cannot handle these people no more. And I am looking for people who are on the higher frequency, who are understanding what I'm saying, what I'm thinking, what I'm experiencing, what, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I might like you, Monique, I don't know, but the people in chats and the surrounding and all negative energies, it gets to me and I can't handle it no more.
Mm-hmm.
I need to stay in a positive energy and a positive frequency and everything because I know then everything goes well.
Yeah, knowing your borders is some kind of blessing.
Yes.
Yeah. Miranda, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to reply because
I'm
I
AFK.
think that...
Sorry, I'm AFK for a little while. I'm going to do something and get a coffee and be right back.
You cannot.
Why not?
You have to pay €5. No.
Yeah, I will put it in my bank account.
No,
Will do.
no.
Till
Just
soon. Till soon.
Just kidding. Go ahead.
So,
No, Lee, I think that what you just meant was that because you were talking about MK Ultra mind control, I think that you were talking about the people who are still believing in the government right now. Or am I wrong that they still don't look up for things, and that they still believe that that our government is really good and they're with all the best intentions? And I think you meant that, or am I wrong?
MK Ultra is nothing else but mainstream media.
Mm-hmm.
So you believe in Facebook, you believe in Twitter, you believe in everything you read in a newspaper, you believe everything what's on television. You even believe movies are movies.
Yeah, but then the reason that I reply on what you just said was because when Monique, or no, that wasn't Monique, when Barry just said, have you ever watched Monique's live streams? And you were like, yeah, well, MK Ultra things and low frequency, that Monique's lives are different. Monique's lives are about her own experience with mind control things. So just to keep it clean, like that, she's not. It wasn't like that. She's into mainstream media or something. So you know that.
I didn't
Um,
mention that. I mentioned the people in the chat. I notice it
oh,
at
all right.
Barry
Yeah.
shows. I notice it at Eric shows. People in the chat.
Oh, okay. Then I just misunderstood. Sorry. That I just misunderstood. Um,
And at
I
this time, and I'm very, very thankful and happy about it, that there is this big awakening, and that there are people who are wakening up. I'm
mm-hmm,
very happy about that because there are more and more people.
mm-hmm,
But I am doing this now already like 10 years, waking people up,
mm-hmm.
and they were not wakening up. And now after 10 years, they are wakening up, and they are yeah, it's a pity,
That it took so
you
long, you
know?
mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
And okay, they are asking many questions and they are screaming for help. Get me through this because I'm scared. And I know it's very difficult to not be scared and to stay positive. And but I let other people do their job and pick up these people and put them under their care. And but I am continuing. I am a little bit further, and I have to do so much shit to search out now and what is going on behind the scenes, because there's so much going on that people don't see what's going on.
Yeah. Well, I'm guilty of that because I just, I just woke up like I think 2.5, almost 3 years ago. So I'm also one of those people who hasn't been thinking about all of this in the last 10 years, and I've got a lot of respect for people who, who've been busy with this for the last 10 years. On the other hand, I'm like, it might have been also hard or at least, well, maybe sometimes I'm like, I would maybe it would be better if I didn't know all this, because now, but from the moment that I acknowledge, like, oh my gosh, this is all bad, and they're lying about every freaking thing. And after I saw that, then everything you see is like, okay, doubting it. Is this the truth, or is it a lie? And it's life is I think that life might be a lot easier when you don't know about all these kinds of things, but I cannot unsee it. It's like I cannot close my eyes. um
Right.
or yeah, I always say mijn oogkleppen opdoen, weet je wel. You know what I mean? They put on the blinds on your in front of your eyes and just think it's not there, it's not there, it's not there, it's not there. Then it might be life be easier, but I cannot do that because I know. And now everything that happens to me, it's like, oh my gosh, it really, it goes on like this. It's no, you're kidding me. No, oh my gosh, this, no. And it's only getting worse. But I get the fact that at some point, when you're helping people for 10 years already, and trying to convince them, trying to tell them the truth, and like, oh, please do your thing, do your research, talk to me, and just listen to me, and they just don't, then yeah, well, at some point you have to think like, okay, I tried enough, I'm done, and now I'm gonna go on with my own life, and just believe me or not, but I don't care. I have to go on with my own life, and who wants to be with me, that's with me, and who don't, well, yeah, you don't. Goodbye. You cannot go on with trying. I think it tires you sometimes, maybe, or am I wrong?
No, and it's totally recognizable your feelings in which phase you are about discovering how you've been lied to, and I recognize the feeling you have. Do I don't like the system no more. I don't like people no more. Do I even like myself? Because you also change inside. You feel totally fucked. And how do you continue with living and see things in real life now? And how do you respond? And to who do you have to listen to? So you're going to question everything, everyone, and
their
also
intentions.
everything you see. Yeah, and their attentions. So you're getting very hard to people, but also for yourself. But when you are researching this whole truth, then and you stay positive. Please stay positive. Believe in God, trust in the plan. That kind of thing helps you through this fight. Because it's not a fight against people, it's a fight against
the power that's trying to yeah, well, I don't know how, yeah, well, the elite, it's all a game of power, who has the most power over everyone.
it's a spiritual fight, it's a spiritual war.
Yeah, well, I mean, I hope you don't mind, but I personally, I'm not religious. I don't believe in God, but I do think that people who believe in God may get a lot of hope and power out of it. You know, that's really good for those people. I don't believe in God. What I I do think. Oh, Eric wants to say something too. Let's okay, let's hear what Eric has to say, because ET phone home, he wants to talk. Put your mic on, Eric.
Yeah, but I disagree for a little what you said, because there is a God. You are a God. God is in all of us. We are one. That's what we all believe. Why won't we believe that God is you? You are God.
A
And
goddess?
not in a religious way, as they want to tell you through churches or other religions. No, God, I am. That's what God means.
How many names does God have?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Well, I don't believe in God. I do believe in universe or something. I and destiny. Like
So
but
so
not in.
God could mean alien.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, okay, let's just refer rectification then. I don't believe in a god that how the way that it's that they talk about it, like in a Bible or in the church or anything like that. I don't believe in that. Um, I do believe in and that's something I wanted to talk about, because Lee, you just said that you do believe that there are people born with yeah, well, evil souls, like because you think that there's yeah, well, reincarnation, is that the right one, the reincarnation?
Reincarnation.
Yeah, You just said you believe in that. Well, I believe that there's some sort of an afterlife. But I do believe in nature nurture. That I really want to believe also that there are no bad people born. But well, that there's nurture, like all the things from the factors from where are you born into, you know. But when you
I'm born in planet Earth, and
yeah,
there are
but
many planets in the universe. And do you really think we are the only living creatures in the universe?
no, I never said that. I say that or I never said that I did think that there's nothing else on Earth, or not
So
in Earth or on other planets. I maybe there are aliens, could be.
maybe,
Um,
could be.
yeah.
Okay. Let's say there are more creatures in the universe than only humans.
Hmm.
And let's say those creatures came to Earth,
Hmm.
and after a while they left again.
Yeah.
And that there are humans who saw these creatures coming from Earth. How would you call these creatures coming from out of the sky somewhere, coming to Earth, go live here for centuries, and then leave again? You saw them leaving again. How do you call these people?
I don't know. But I do had a conversation earlier about the fact that maybe well, let's just say that that aliens exist. Let's say that they exist and that they would come to Earth, and they would look like, let's just say that they would look like ET, or different than human beings that we know of, like the normal human beings that, well, like you and I and other people, like that's normal to us. To most people, it's normal, and that they don't understand our language. And then I'm like, they would never be accepted by the masses. You know, they would be
Why not?
they because they are like, because people think, not by me, because I would really try to communicate with them, but I think that the mass of the people on Earth, or in Holland, let's say just in Holland, if there comes an alien to Earth, and let's say that they don't speak the language, and they look different from people like we know people,
Let's say
like
Chinese people.
how they should look, like that's how we've learned um to see people, then I think that they
Yes,
would
but
be they would
when
they,
you live in a Western country with all white folks, and
yeah.
you never leave your village, and someday some Chinese people with Asian eyes and another color comes to you as a child being, then you would get scared because you never see such people in your whole entire life, of course, but you get used to it. So why would be afraid of something we don't know coming from the sky, coming from another planet, looks very different, speaks another language, not yours? Why would you not accept that?
Well, I would.
It's discrimination.
Yeah, but okay, maybe you did not understand what I said, or maybe I said it in the wrong way, because I'm just different from that. I would be like, okay, um why wouldn't you try to see those yeah, well, yeah, creatures, or how to call it, yeah, I don't know how to call it otherwise, but why wouldn't we try to accept it and try to communicate with other creatures um than people, like we know, we learn that people have some sort of a way how to look. We all have two eyes, a nose, a mouth, you know what I mean. That's what's like normal with but normal shouldn't be
But that's
normal.
the
We're
problem.
we're just when something is not normal, like the way we've been taught that it should be, then there's a problem.
Indoctrinated.
Then there's a
Do you
problem.
not?
then
We
a
are
lot.
not being taught, Miran. We are not being taught. Have been indoctrinated. We have been manipulated.
Yeah.
Yes, it is so because I say it is so. People need to be more open-minded.
Yeah, and a
Why?
lot, and you know what I think, that we're way too judgmental, way
Yeah,
too judgmental because
we are not the persons to judge another.
no, but it's also when we don't speak about aliens or reptilians or some kind of that, but just as this most simple thing. I'm 33 years old right now. And what don't I have? I don't have kids, and I'm not married. But in most people at school and stuff, you try to or well, you get teach like, what's the normal thing when you're like when you're 30 years old or something. Well, you must have well, you have kids, right, or a family, and you live together with de huisje, you know what I mean? That's the normal thing. So in the normal life, you even get judged when you don't want kids, huh? What? You don't live with your partner? You don't live together? Well, because you're living apart together or something. You're also not normal. You know, it people are way too judgmental about other people, and that becomes a very big problem. I think maybe you disagree. If you disagree, please tell me why. But that's what I think. It's all judgment, you know. Oh, well, that's not normal what you do. Yeah, but who defines what's normal?
Exactly. Who defines what's normal? In 2020, 22, 2020. In 2022, it's normal to grow up, get a diploma, uh, get married, have children, buy a house, go on vacation, and then you die. And but centuries ago, it was normal that a woman had to marry a man, and this man went out hunting, taking care of food, but he was away for months, and the woman stayed at home, taking care of children and the rest of the community, and they helped each other, farming, fishing, and then months later, the man came back, and children were 7 or 8, and this is your son, and that was then normal.